Josh, when you go traveling, what auto place do you like to go to? Your car rental spot do you like to go to? Do you have a preference?
No, no preference. I
No
feel like
preference.
whatever is
Oh, the best deal?
the best deal, the best option, something like
Interesting.
that. Yeah.
Okay, so do you avoid certain types of cars?
No, actually,
No?
well, if I'm traveling, it's like I'm just like whatever's available.
Okay, how
Yeah.
about an electric car?
I've rented.
You've rented an
Yeah,
electric
yeah,
car?
I've rented an electric car. I've
Mm.
rented a Tesla actually.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I
How'd you
have.
like it?
I thought it was okay.
That was okay. What,
Yeah, just okay.
did it meet up to your standards?
You know
Did
what? I think a gas car would have been a little easier
a
to
little
travel
easier?
with. Just saying.
Okay. Well, the reason why I bring this up is because Hertz is trying to unload their entire Tesla inventory because
Yeah.
it's there's some other issues involved, but they're asking customers if they just want to keep their rentals.
Hmm.
Would you have kept your rental if
No,
they
I would
offered?
not. No, I was in another state. I
I
would not
mean,
have kept that rental.
you could drive it back.
That's crazy.
Yeah, but I mean, there could be worse.
Okay.
But what we're talking about here is that Hertz not only has a rental car business, but they also have a car sales business. So
Mhm.
once they're done with the whole rental side of it, they then take these high mileage cars, sometimes not so high mileage, and then sell them back to customers.
That is
But
interesting.
people have brought this up that they find it interesting that they're offering specifically their Model 3s, their Teslas.
Okay, I can see why.
You can see
I
why.
can see why, yeah.
Okay. Well, the issue that is brought up here is that Tesla bought, I think at one point, 100,000 Model 3s for their rental fleet.
Oh, the Hertz did? Yeah, Hertz
Hertz
did.
bought
Okay.
100,000. However, there's a little depreciation involved with
That's a lot of
electric cars.
cars. That is a lot of cars too, by the way.
Specifically electric cars, because
Yeah.
electric cars, as I think we've talked about on this channel before, have a higher rate of depreciation.
Depreciation.
And with their rental to selling
Business.
business model, this is a very big hit because they can't offset the amount of depreciation that's going on.
That's crazy to
Yeah.
even think about.
And we have additional things to talk about and their statement because this was put out and Hertz had their own spin on this whole thing. In a second, after you consider hitting that subscribe button, hitting that like button, come on the interesting topics like this one all the time. So make sure to hit that subscribe button for more. So they didn't like this.
I will tell you, by the way, that it is a very different experience driving like a traditional
Like
ice
ice
car.
car,
Yeah, an
well,
ice.
and was it internal combustion engine
Yeah,
car?
internal combustion engine car is very different than driving an electric car.
Yeah, I think
Yeah.
like the convenience of this filling up. I think a lot of people are more convenient. Like, would you have felt better if it was a hybrid?
I think I would have felt better if it was a hybrid.
I think I would too.
Yeah, and I will say that it's just the experience of going from like because the driving was different too.
Yeah,
The
the
layout
single,
yeah, the layout was different too. It wasn't
as
necessarily
intuitive.
yeah, it was there was a lot of friction to getting to
Hmm.
know how to drive the car and making it a smooth ride as opposed to like
Mm.
driving a gas powered car and just being like, "Oh, I know what to
You
do
already know what to
already."
do.
Yeah.
But that's coming from like maybe it's the opposite if you're coming from a Tesla. Maybe was made for people who already have Teslas,
Yeah.
and then they're like, oh, like this is to for them, like people who already have Teslas or electric cars, they want to maybe rent a Tesla.
Hmm.
So what Hertz said when this website reached out, Jalopnik reached out to them for a statement, they said that it's inaccurate to characterize their connecting rental customers with cars available for purchase as anything other than expanding the customer choice. And I find that as no, no, I don't.
Baloney.
But yeah, I don't think that's exactly right.
Hmm.
Because if you like look and it's like, okay, is it just a coincidence that you're trying to offload these? Because um yes, they have a rental business and yes, they have a sales business, but it doesn't really kind of excuse what they're doing. So in other ones, like this is another recent article where it's talking about how or fairly recent, how their depreciation is getting so intense that they're willing to sell Teslas at under $20,000.
That's crazy. That's a pretty big chunk.
$20,000. And it's like, oh well, no, maybe not. Maybe like that was then. This is now like, so this came out in November. So like, okay, like
That's
under
not even
20,
too far ago.
not
Yeah.
really that far ago.
Yeah.
He's like, oh, that's I mean, maybe that's a, so far that like now it's gone back up. The Tesla
Yeah.
economy is booming. But we
Hmm.
fact checked it. Bam. So here is a Model 3.
Yeah, it's a
Seems
Model
all right.
3.
This is in Honolulu, so maybe not the best place to get it. But um, if you're in the continental United, if you're
Yeah.
in Hawaii, then yeah, maybe this is perfect for you.
59,000 miles,
Mm-hmm.
no haggle price of 23,000
Yes.
miles.
Or
And
$23,000.
if
Yeah.
we look at the Kelly Blue Book,
Mm-hmm.
22,000 to 25,000 on average
And it's
is
right in the
a
middle.
fair market price.
So it's not like extremely, it's on the lower end of fair.
Okay, yeah.
But so it's like, okay, well, they're trying to get rid of all this stuff, all this other things. Like, well, maybe this is like roughly the same. Like how much of a discount are you actually getting if you buy a used Model 3? A significant one.
Yeah,
Because if we look right here, so remember this price. So it's $25,000
cash with
cash out the door. Yeah,
taxes.
with taxes and everything. Do it
Yeah.
signing. So you're buying it. You're going away.
Some people might find that as a good deal, by the way.
Yeah, I mean it's not. I mean compared to like a brand new Tesla, as you're gonna show you right here. So here's a brand new Model 3. So like this is the I guess
Long range rear wheel drive
yeah,
car,
this is gonna be the long range rear wheel drive car.
$30,000.
So we have it right here. So yeah, this is the lowest range one. So we have long range rear wheel drive, 29,990. It's like okay, that's pretty good. But then what does this say right here? It includes incentives and gas savings. So if we go into here, this is actually what they're aiming for you to spend. And it's like, okay, well, maybe you don't get the cash credit. Like this is the cash. Not everybody gets the entirety of the cash credit
No, they
because
don't.
the criteria is listed here. But if we go back, so it's 29,000. Okay, it's like okay, well that's kind of a lot. But maybe you don't get as much federal tax credit. So like you need to have as much taxes to get reduced to have this matter. So like okay, let's not roll that back.
37. That's a
37.
very big difference, by the way.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
And then the most egregious one that they use is it includes an estimated 5-year gas savings. So like this is saying that like you'll save roughly $5,000 in 5 years, so you shouldn't worry about it. Take that out. So really, you're spending 42,500 roughly
That's
for this Model
crazy.
3.
Yeah.
And you could get last year's, well, it's almost 2025, so I guess it's 2 years from now, and it's 25,000 out the door. So you're saving,
Like 40%
it's
or
like
something like that.
half, almost like half
Yeah.
to get to this number. And I think this whole thing shows that yeah, it really depreciates in value because a lot of times if you look at like normal cars, it'll be like pretty close to the number.
You know what I think too is that I think that like a majority of people who are driving like these Teslas from Hertz, and then
Yeah.
if they're getting offered, it's like, hey, it's like,
Like, hey, you
if you
like
can
it
sell
so much.
it's like if you want to sell it, if because like at the end of the day, it's like these cars are liabilities for them because it is
Hmm.
depreciating in value. And because of that, they're going to want to get it out after they hit a certain amount of mileage. And they're realizing it's like, hey, potentially some of these cars that are getting up to the 130,000 miles, like people are not going to want them.
Yeah,
And
and
then they're left with it.
yeah, I mean, I think we've all heard the horror stories in terms of um, like finding out that oh, your car needs a new battery and like how much does the battery cost, etc. And it is very expensive to upkeep. And I think the whole thing with a Tesla or any other like electric vehicle is that I think people don't look at it as like like traditionally cars like, oh, it'll last a long time, etc.
Mhm.
I think people are looking at like Teslas and like electric cars as more of um
Like an iPhone,
like an iPhone, yeah, like
yeah,
an
like
iPhone.
an
That's
iPhone.
exactly it. Because you're like, well, like I want the newest infotainment screen and like newest capabilities, and that
Yeah.
all comes with the newest model. And it's like, well,
I think the other example too is like if you were like an early adopter and if you bought the first like model, what is it, Model S's,
oh
I
yeah,
don't
yeah.
think they had the capability that some of
Oh,
these
the
newer ones,
self-driving capability.
yeah, the self-driving capability. So
Yeah.
it's very like as new ones roll out, people are
hmm
gonna want the new ones.
Yeah, and especially like there are some other business practices that people may have not aren't finding like really good with Tesla. One example is like when you mentioned to Model S, a lot of people were promised that if you bought like a Model S, they would eventually be able to roll out with the self-driving for that
Hmm.
and or upgrade self-driving, but they still haven't come out with it. So I think a lot of people are being burned in terms of like um the not upkeep but like continued maintenance from Tesla,
Yeah.
like updates and stuff aren't exactly being rolled out to like customer satisfaction.
You know, I will say though, if you are in the market for a Tesla or
Yeah.
an electric vehicle, some of
I
these
mean,
prices are
like
pretty good.
below 20,000, it's kind of, I mean, how long does it need to last, you know?
Yeah, that's true. Most
I
cars
mean,
last 10 years and then you swap them out.
some of the ones that we saw in Hertz were like they were going for like 100,000 miles. It's like
Yeah, that no,
maybe
don't
not,
say
maybe
it.
not that
Yeah, you
one,
stay
but
away from those ones, by
the
the
hundred
way.
thousand one maybe not. But if like you rent a Tesla and they're like, hey, 13,000, you can have this. It's
That's
like
pretty good.
that's a pretty good deal.
17,000 I think is still pretty good too. For
Yeah.
it like 40 maybe
Oh yeah, because
100.
they're like, oh, it's out the door, 17,000, 20,000,
Yeah, yeah.
pretty insane.
Yeah, it's a pretty good
So,
deal.
but I would want to hear from our audience in the comment section down below. Do you think that any price would be good for a rented out Tesla? Because like if you're already worried about the quality or like the longevity of a battery or like
Mhm.
continued charging and stuff and like use and abuse from a Tesla, like people renting a car, and then it's like it can only get worse.
Yeah, yeah.
If they're like, this is not my car, so this
They just drive it to the ground. Yeah.
Mhm. So I would want to hear from our audience what they think. Would you even consider buying this? Would you?
No.
Easy. Okay.
Yeah, I mean, like you're right. It's a rental service where people are probably driving into the ground. So yeah, it's hard. It's a hard decision. It's
Yeah, it's
legitimately a
like,
hard decision.
sometimes it's like it's
Price
kind of
is good though.
price is good, but buyer beware. But
Mhm.
yeah, let us know if you end up buying one in the comment section down below.